A yellow headlight, completely blind. Thick, oxidized crust baked onto the plastic from years of sun damage. Someone picks up a paper towel, sprays it with a clear liquid from a $1 can, wipes it across the surface one time, and the yellow comes off. Not slowly, not after scrubbing. It melts onto the rag in 3 seconds flat, leaving behind perfectly clear polycarbonate underneath. No sandpaper, no kit, no 2 hours of your Saturday destroyed. 3 seconds and $1. That is what you were never supposed to see. Because on the shelf at your auto parts store right now, there is a $30 box being sold to millions of car owners every single year. Inside that box is sandpaper. Multiple grits of sandpaper, a little foam pad, and a small bottle of polish. And the instructions tell you to spend 2 full hours wet sanding your headlight lens by hand, grinding through multiple stages of abrasive paper just to get back to something that looks acceptable. 2 hours of labor, $30, and they sell it to you like it is a favor. Welcome to the Buried Blueprint. I'm going to show you exactly how the auto detailing industry built a product specifically designed to make you do the hard work yourself, charge you for the privilege, and hide the fact that a $1 household spray sitting in your garage right now does the job better, faster, and without touching a single sheet of sandpaper. If you are new here and you want to know what corporations actually bury from the public, hit subscribe and the bell right now, because this channel does not stop at one secret. But first, let me show you why the sanding kit is not just overpriced. It is actually destroying your car. Here is what the box does not tell you. Your headlight lens is made of polycarbonate plastic. It is a precision-engineered optical surface. When UV radiation from the sun hits that surface year after year, it does not damage the entire lens. It burns only the outermost microscopic layer, turning it into a yellow, brittle, photo-oxidized crust. That crust is maybe a few microns thick. It is sitting right on top of perfectly healthy, perfectly clear plastic underneath. Now here's the crime. When you follow the instructions on that $30 kit, when you pick up that coarse sandpaper and start grinding, you are not removing just the damaged layer. You are removing everything. The dead yellow crust and hundreds of microns of healthy, factory-grade polycarbonate underneath it. You are physically thinning your headlight lens every single time you do this. And headlights are not infinitely thick. Every sanding session takes more material away. Eventually the lens becomes brittle, uneven, and structurally compromised. You are paying $30 to slowly destroy your own headlight with your own hands, while the company that sold you the sandpaper counts their revenue. But watch closely what happens next, because this is where the story changes completely. There is a chemical compound that has been documented for decades for its interaction with polycarbonate plastics. Scientists have known about it, industrial engineers have known about it. It appears in material compatibility charts that chemical manufacturers publish for industrial applications. It is not hidden in a lab. It is in a can on the shelf at your grocery store, your pharmacy, and your camping supply aisle, right next to the sunscreen and the mosquito repellent. It costs $1, sometimes $2. Before I tell you exactly what it is, I need to tell you something important. This headlight hack is one entry in a much larger archive of solutions that industries have quietly buried because they cannot make recurring revenue from things that actually work permanently. The link in the description below takes you directly to the complete Buried Blueprint vault. Inside that vault, you will find dozens of classified survival and home DIY guides covering everything from rust elimination to mold removal to energy cost reduction, all using cheap, accessible ingredients that the relevant industries have spent millions of marketing dollars to make you forget exist. Check that link, download what you need, keep it offline. But stay right here, because exactly how you apply this changes everything. Get the steps wrong, and you will damage your paint or stop the reaction too early. The sequence matters. Here is the chemical companies do not want you to know this next part. The compound is DEET, N,N-diethyl metatoluamide. You know it as the active ingredient in bug spray, the kind in the yellow and green cans, the kind your grandfather sprayed on his arms before fishing. It has been commercially available since the 1940s, costs almost nothing to manufacture, and has been documented for decades as a solvent for polycarbonate materials. That documentation has always been public. It is listed in material compatibility charts, in industrial safety data sheets, in chemistry reference databases. Nobody hid it. They just made sure you never thought to connect a bug spray can to your yellow headlights. Here is the science, and this is the part that makes the sanding kit look criminal by comparison. DEET is a plasticizer and organic solvent. When it makes contact with polycarbonate, it begins chemically interacting with the polymer chains at the surface. Now here is the critical distinction. Healthy, intact polycarbonate resists this interaction. The molecular bonds in undamaged plastic are tight and cross-linked. But photo-oxidized polycarbonate, That dead yellow crust on your headlight has already had its polymer chains broken down and weakened by UV radiation. The molecular structure is already compromised. DEET targets exactly that weakened layer. It penetrates the oxidized surface, breaks the remaining bonds, and liquefies it on contact. The dead material dissolves and transfers directly onto your rag. What remains is the healthy, undamaged polycarbonate underneath, the same factory surface that was always there, just buried under years of sun damage. You are not sanding, you are not abrading, you are not removing healthy material. You are chemically dissolving only the dead layer, leaving everything functional and intact underneath. The mechanism is chemically selective in a way that no sandpaper ever could be. The detailing industry does not teach you this because nobody buys a 2-hour sanding kit when they know a 3-second chemical wipe does the job better. Now here is the exact process. Do not skip any step, especially the last one. Step 1. Go to any grocery store, pharmacy, or outdoor supply store and buy a can of insect repellent. You are looking for a spray that lists DEET as an active ingredient. Higher concentrations work faster, but even standard formulas will work. Products like Off Deep Woods or Repel are common examples. The spray format is easiest to work with. The cost will be between $1 and $3 for a standard can. Step 2. This is the most important safety warning in this entire video. Never, under any circumstances, spray DEET directly onto your vehicle. DEET is an aggressive solvent. It will damage automotive paint on contact. It can also affect rubber trim and certain plastic components around the headlight housing. Keep the spray away from any painted surface, any rubber seal, and any trim piece. The application happens only on the headlight lens itself and only via the rag method. Step 3. Hold your paper towel or clean rag away from the car, away from any painted surface or trim. Spray a generous amount of the DEET insect repellent onto the rag. You want it visibly damp, not dripping, but thoroughly saturated in the contact area. Step 4. Press the dampened rag firmly against the yellowed headlight surface and wipe. Use firm pressure and a consistent stroke. Watch the rag. The yellow oxidation will begin transferring onto it immediately. You will see it. The crust is dissolving on contact and lifting off the lens. Work in sections if the headlight is heavily oxidized. Resaturate the rag as needed. For severely damaged lenses, 2 or 3 passes may be needed. But in most cases, a single firm wipe across a section clears it in under 10 seconds. Step 5. This step is not optional. The moment you finish wiping, immediately and thoroughly wash the entire headlight with soap and water. Use dish soap and a clean cloth or sponge. Wash it completely, rinse it, and wash it again. This step neutralizes the DEET and stops the chemical reaction. If you leave DEET residue on the lens, it will continue interacting with the polycarbonate and begin damaging healthy plastic. The wash stops everything. Do this within 30 seconds of finishing the wipe. Do not walk away. Do not take a photo first. Wash the headlight immediately. Step 6. Optional but recommended. Once the headlight is clean, dry, and the DEET is fully neutralized, apply a thin coat of UV protective sealant or automotive UV spray to the lens. This seals the fresh polycarbonate surface from the sun and delays reoxidation. A cheap UV clear coat from any auto parts store works fine. This step is what makes the result last. Without UV protection, the sun will begin oxidizing the surface again within months. With it, results can hold for a year or more. That is the entire process. $1, 3 seconds of actual chemical contact, a 5-minute wash, and your headlights are clear. Now let me give you the number that should make you genuinely angry. Headlight restoration at a professional detailing shop costs between $150 and $300 per pair. Dealerships charge even more. The $30 sanding kit at the auto parts store takes 2 hours of your manual labor and physically degrades your lens every time you use it. A DEET spray from the grocery store costs $1. The paper towel you use costs less than a penny. The 5 minutes of wash time costs nothing. The auto detailing industry generates billions of dollars annually. A significant portion of that revenue comes from maintenance products and restoration kits for problems that were never supposed to require maintenance in the first place. They did not hide DEET from you in a vault somewhere. They just made sure the marketing budget for sandpaper kits was loud enough that you never stopped to ask whether the problem could be solved with chemistry instead of labor. Now you know. Share this video. Send it to everyone you know who has foggy headlights. Send it to everyone who has ever bought one of those sanding kits and spent a Saturday afternoon grinding their knuckles on a plastic lens. This information does not disappear when the channel grows. It gets louder. That is how hidden knowledge stays alive. It gets passed from person to person until the industry can no longer pretend it does not exist. Subscribe. Hit the bell. The next blueprint opens soon, and what's inside is even